We're moving to Urban Academies program in the School Board of Broward County from Florida. Robert Parks, Mikhail von Brun Pope.
Thank you, Mr. Gergen. It's a distinct pleasure to be here today. The Broward County school system, the nation's sixth largest, serves 271,000 students in 264 schools in the greater Fort Lauderdale area. Next school year, we anticipate the need to hire 1,850 new teachers. Teacher recruitment is a common problem for large urban school systems, for which we believe we have found a unique remedy. Our solution is the Urban Academies program, a partnership initiated by the superintendent of schools and the presidents of 4 local higher education institutions. We develop and place teachers at our hardest to staff schools. Our initial focus was on the 4 elementary schools that had performed dismally, according to Florida's school accountability system. These schools had traditionally not been able to attract highly qualified and committed staff. The partners combined their resources, and remarkably, very little new money was needed for the Urban Academies effort. Yet the results have been extraordinary.
When I was appointed principal of Northside Elementary in 1999, one of the original Urban Academy sites, the school had earned a grade of D through the Florida School Accountability System. Northside is an inner-city school with 515 students and 39 teachers. 90% of the students are of Haitian descent, and 93% qualify for free or reduced lunch. At that time, a teaching assignment at Northside was viewed as a punishment, and the school was not successful in recruiting or retaining highly qualified teachers. Participation in the Urban Academies program has built our capacity through targeted training for school faculty, through the presence of higher education faculty on-site courses delivered on campus, and full-time Urban Academies personnel to mentor, coach, and advise participants. We now have a pool of qualified candidates eager to teach in our schools, allowing us to strengthen our faculty and not worry about starting school with multiple vacancies. In 1999, we could not recruit faculty. Now we're able to choose among qualified candidates.
Here's what our model looks like. Urban Academy participants, whether high school or college students, get immersed in authentic urban school sites early and often in their careers. Our high school students get a rigorous 4-year curriculum, regular classroom experience, a debt-free college education, and a job guarantee upon successful college completion. Our college students receive intense support from proven practitioners while they pursue their education degree. Our practicing faculty at Urban Academy sites must model best practices to participants. Hence, we concentrate on improving the performance and enhancing the skills of these teachers. Since that small beginning in 1999, we expanded from 4 schools to 18. Our high school program has grown from 40 students to 271. Other urban districts may have grow your own teacher programs, but what makes ours different and very successful is we have obtained the direct involvement of university presidents in the effort. We have changed the nature of the relationship between public schools and the College of Education, celebrating the practical application of theory. We have identified a participant pool eager and willing to become teachers. We have redirected existing resources rather than finding new assets to launch the effort. We leveraged the purchase of Florida prepaid college tuition to be able to deliver 4 scholarships for the price of 1, and our partners share a common philosophy. Our community is only as strong as its weakest school.
Our successes are many. The retention rate for these 500 teachers who have completed our program and accepted positions is 91%, as compared to 67% nationally. The vast majority of the students involved are the first generation in their families to attend college, and more than 70% of this undiscovered talent is enrolled in honors and advanced placement courses. Our school scores and state letter grades have all improved. Our 18 sites now house more than 55% of the district student teachers. And my personal story, what I like to call the North Side story, is that the preliminary data, which just came in last week from the state, indicates that the school will receive its first ever letter grade of A for the 2005-2006 school year.
Thank you.
Ed? David after that.
I applaud you for the success of this program. Let me share with you a bit of ambivalence, though. It seems one of the reasons this program succeeds is that it is built on perpetuating an existing pattern of race and class segregation. I'm wondering whether you share, whether that's a fair way of viewing that recruitment and that program, and whether, if so, you share some of my ambivalence about it.
It's interesting, 79% of our students are minorities. African American, Haitian American, Hispanic. Interestingly enough, in our program right now, 26% are males. And that, in education, is classified as a minority. So we're recruiting more males into education than ever before. The schools that we consider to be high need, when we restructured this and looked at what we wanted to do, we basically said, we want to use unequal resources for unequal needs. And that's the basic philosophy. But our intent, we have replicated it in Broward, and we know we can replicate it across the nation.
I want to add to that. Northside is 100% black in terms of student population, and when I first got there, in a staffing probably over 95%. This program has in fact brought more non-black teachers through the intern program into our school. So it actually kind of helped that situation.
Please, Bill.
Just a question about the scholars. Is there sort of a dedicated stream of revenue to support the scholarships that you need to have in order to get the students into the colleges and get them the degrees and then so forth? I mean, where do the scholarship funds come?
The money comes from many sources, foundations, and this is all community generated. Teacher of the Year, we have a large annual Teacher of the Year function, and the business community supports that. We have a payroll deduction through the through the school system. The more that we are getting ourselves known out there, that we do have this program, it's becoming easier to generate those revenues. Right now, in our budget, we have approximately $150,000. Interestingly, as a student enters the community college, because of the very nature of the students, their first 2 years are covered by financial aid, no loans. Those kids will graduate debt-free, and because of the Florida prepaid program, that money will roll over to their junior, senior year at one of the local universities.
Also, our district initially realigned their resources, dollars that they would have spent recruiting, dollars that they would have spent on a teacher training program, they brought into this program so that we can groom our own.
Okay. Lee and then David.
I have two related questions. I'm interested in what the youngsters who are participating in this, how they perceive it. Do they feel like they're special and they're doing something exciting and wonderful, or do they feel like they're becoming second-class teachers? And the related question is, as you have replicated it and are thinking about replicating it, how do you make sure that the status of these young people remains high and admired?
I think those two questions. One, we get these kids, and many of them were written off. And once we get them involved, and with the support that we have from the Urban Academies faculties and staff, they do make them feel special. We take them to the universities. Our staff is adjunct professors as well at the local universities. So they are special. We have one financial company that does a graduation dinner every year for all the seniors, and they're recognized and gifts. So we understand recognition as being important to be an educator.
I also think that the teachers who are coming into these urban sites, at the point that they're ready to leave, from becoming pre-service teachers to regular classroom teachers, there's some intrinsic value in serving in our communities. Many of them, would be afraid to drive through our communities initially, but through this program, they get to come on campus. They get to see that actually these are children like any other children, that we do have professional staff, that they're doing something to impact the community academically. And what we found also is that they develop a long-term commitment to the community once they come through and they realize that there is really nothing to fear. We recently had a community project building a kitchen garden in a field that was nearby. And it was interesting to watch the children, their parents, our teachers and staff, these interns who are at the school, all working now to build the community, developing lifelong, long-term relationships with the community, and then wanting to stay and teach in our communities. The other thing it's done is it's forced us all to step up our game. Knowing that we have these pre-service teachers coming in, our teachers who are receiving them have had to go to training, 45 hours of training for clinical ed. So making them better able to mentor and coach. They themselves have to develop their skill in order to develop another person. So they're planning differently, they're performing differently because they have a young teacher who's looking at them to learn, which is impacting student achievement. And then further, as an administrator in the leadership team, we've had to step up our game too, because we're now a university school, sort of. We're clinicians ourselves, so we're all performing at an expected level as a result of having these interns come in.
Thank you. David, do you have one final question?